The anesthesia mask descends toward my face, a sterile cup trying to smother a scream I can't let out. I hear Mom's voice, echoing from somewhere down the hospital hallway, each word a perfectly aimed dart. "We'll be back after Sophia's recital, sweetheart. Break a leg." "Oh, not you, Maya, obviously. Just get well soon." Dad's deeper rumble follows. "Yes, good luck, Sophia. We'll call Maya as soon as it's over." They chose her dance recital over my surgery. Again. I lie here, 16 years old, on a cold operating table. The sharp, clean smell of antiseptic already mixing with the salt of the tears I refuse to let fall. Not here. Not while I can still hear them. The betrayal sinks deep, a familiar anchor in the churning sea of my emotions. I tremble, not from the cold of the room, but from the chilling realization that this is my life, my normal. "Just a little something to help you relax, Maya," a kind nurse, Brenda, I think her name is, says, her voice muffled by her own mask. Relax? How can I relax when my own parents just walked out, leaving me to face whatever this surgery brings, alone? I memorize every word, every cheerful, oblivious syllable. Mom's forced brightness, Dad's easy dismissal. It's a quiet power move, something I've learned to do. I file it all away, tucked into the mental folder labeled evidence. Evidence of what? I'm not always sure. Evidence that I'm not crazy, maybe. That the constant ache of being secondary isn't just in my head. My mind flickers, a faulty projector showing snippets of the past. Last year, it was my debate team regionals, the biggest competition of my life, clashing with Sophia's spring ballet rehearsal. Guess who got the parental audience? The year before, my first art show, a small local library exhibit I'd poured my heart into, was trumped by Sophia's preliminary gymnastics meet. "It's just a little display, Maya," Mom had said, ruffling my hair. "Sophia could actually qualify for state." She didn't. I sold 2 paintings. They never saw them. Each memory is a tiny pinprick, but together they form a tapestry of neglect, woven with threads of Sophia's leotards and toe shoes. Sophia, my younger sister, the star, the one who always shines brightest in their eyes. The surgeon enters, a blur of blue scrubs and brisk efficiency. He offers a curt nod. "Ready, Maya?" Am I ready? Ready to have my appendix out? A routine procedure, they say. Yet here I am, feeling anything but routine. Ready to do it without a hand to hold, without a familiar face to see when I wake up? No, I'm not ready. But I nod anyway. What else is there to do? The ticking clock isn't just metaphorical. There's a large analog one on the wall, its second hand sweeping with an almost judgmental slowness. The surgery begins, the world narrowing to the bright light above me, the hum of machinery, the murmur of voices I don't know. No family support, just the cold, sterile reality. Brenda's face swims into view again, a small, reassuring smile in her eyes. Counting backwards from 10, Maya. 10. 9. My eyelids feel heavy. 8. The antiseptic smell is fading. 7. The betrayal still stings, a fresh wound. 6. They chose her. Again. 5. I hope Sophia nails her pirouette. 4. A strange peace begins to settle. 3. Maybe this is better. 2. No more fighting for scraps of attention. 1. Darkness, then a sudden violent jolt. Alarms shriek, urgent and terrifying. Voices, no longer calm, shout unfamiliar words. "She's crashing. Pressure dropping. Losing her." I'm floating, detached. There's a brilliant, blinding light ahead, warm and inviting. Is this it? Is this how it ends? Maya, the forgotten daughter, flatlining during a routine appendectomy while her parents applaud her sister's grand jeté. The irony isn't lost on me, even as the light pulls me closer. It's almost peaceful. The operating room fades, the screaming alarms dissolve into a profound, echoing silence. I'm no longer cold, no longer in pain. I'm somewhere else. A vast, endless expanse of white stretches in every direction, soft and luminous, like being inside a cloud. My own heartbeat thrums, a steady, resonant drum in the stillness, the only sound in this ethereal, empty space. A figure coalesces before me, shimmering at the edges, neither male nor female, just presence. It radiates a gentle warmth, a comforting understanding. "Maya," A voice echoes, not in my ears, but directly in my mind, like a thought that isn't my own. You are at a juncture. Where am I? I try to ask, but no sound comes out. My voice is trapped, or maybe I don't have one here. You are between, a choice awaits you. The figure gestures, and a scene unfolds in the whiteness. I see my parents, their faces etched with a grief so raw, so absolute, it steals my breath. Sophia is there too, her small shoulders shaking with sobs, clutching one of my old teddy bears. This is their future if I don't go back. You can return, the voice offers, as if sensing my unspoken question. You can return to life armed with the knowledge of what is to come, a glimpse of the paths that lie ahead. But there is a condition. A new scene materializes. It's me, older, standing on a stage, a spotlight warming my face. I feel a surge of triumph, of belonging. This is a future I want. You will see their choices, understand their priorities with a clarity you never had before. But you can never tell them what you learned here, in this space. You can never reveal the depth of their neglect as you now comprehend it, or the pain it caused. You cannot use this knowledge to directly confront them or seek their apology for that specific moment of your surgery. My spirit, which had felt heavy and lost just moments ago, now soars with a strange, fierce purpose. To go back, knowing their choices, their true, unvarnished priorities, and yet not being able to throw it in their faces. It sounds like a unique kind of torture, but also a unique kind of power. Why, I managed to think, focusing my intent, why can't I tell them? Their lessons must be their own. Your path is not to change them through accusation, but to change yourself despite them. Your journey is one of self-discovery, not of their redemption through your pain. I consider this. Live with the weight of their casual disregard, their consistent choosing of Sophia over me, and never be able to truly unload the burden of that specific moment before the surgery? The moment they walked away, leaving me to potentially die alone? You may, however, act upon your knowledge in all other ways, the voice clarifies, as if sensing my hesitation. You may make choices that serve you based on what you now understand. You may protect yourself. You may build your own future. A plan begins to form, a seed of an idea. To live not for their approval, but for myself. To use this knowledge not as a weapon, but as a shield. And sometimes perhaps as a very subtle, very quiet tool. I negotiate terms. I think, a spark of my old self returning. A sense of amusement flows from the figure. What terms? If I go back and I live with this knowledge, this burden, will I at least know that my life will be worth it? That I can make something of myself for myself? The potential is within you, Maya. The outcome is shaped by your choices. This knowledge is a gift and a test. How you use it will define your path. The weight of their priorities, the sting of being second best, it's a familiar ache. But to carry it with open eyes, with the foreknowledge of their actions, it's a heavy price. But the alternative? The scene of my grieving family? No, I can't do that to them, even if they hurt me. And the glimpse of me on that stage. I take what feels like a deep breath, though I'm not breathing. I'll do it. I'll go back. But I'm going back with a plan. The figure nods a slow, knowing inclination. So be it. The white light intensifies, swallowing me whole. The last thing I feel is a sense of falling, and then an overwhelming, urgent need to gasp for air. My eyes flutter open to the rhythmic, insistent beeping of machines. The first sensation is the rough texture of starched hospital sheets against my skin. The second is the dull throb in my lower abdomen. I see you. I made it back. But the room is empty, save for the blinking lights and the silent vigil of medical equipment. My family is nowhere to be found. A strange calmness settles over me. The panic, the fear I felt on the operating table, it's gone. In its place is a cold, clear resolve. I am here. I survived. And I remember everything. The voice, the offer, the choice, the knowledge. I feel liberated. Liberated from the desperate need for their approval, from the crushing weight of their expectations or lack thereof. Nurse Brenda, her kind eyes crinkling above her mask, bustles in. Maya, you're awake. Oh, thank heavens, you gave us quite a scare there, young lady. My parents? I ask, my voice raspy. Brenda's smile falters for a fraction of a second. They called. Sophia's recital ran a little late. Apparently, she got a standing ovation. They said they'd be here as soon as they could fight the traffic. Of course, a standing ovation. More important than their daughter potentially not waking up. The old Maya would have cried. The new Maya? The new Maya feels a flicker of something else. Not anger, not yet. Just confirmation. Could you hand me my phone, please? I ask. Brenda hesitates. Are you sure you're up to it? Positive. She retrieves it from the small bedside table. My fingers, a little shaky, tap the screen. I open the camera. I take a photo of the empty chair beside my bed. I take a photo of the clock on the wall. 10:37 p.m. Sophia's recital would have ended hours ago. I open the Notes app. 10:37 p.m. ICU. Parents still not here. Reason. Sophia's recital ran late. Standing ovation traffic. I ask Brenda, very politely, if she wouldn't mind just confirming for my records when they actually called. She looks a little surprised, but jots down 9:45 p.m. on a piece of paper for me. I thank her and photograph that too. This isn't about revenge, not in the way people might think. This is about documentation. A quiet power move just for me. I'm building a different kind of evidence folder now. I start planning my new life strategy right there in that ICU bed. The old Maya pleaded for attention, twisted herself into knots trying to be worthy. The new Maya will observe, will learn, will act in her own best interest. Silently. Hours later, they finally arrive. Mom's face is a mask of flustered concern. Dad's is tired. Sophia, still in her glittery dance costume, bounces in behind them, clutching a small, cheap-looking trophy. Oh, Maya, sweetie, we're so sorry, Mom gushes, rushing to my bedside, a flurry of Chanel No. 5 and anxious energy. Sophia's recital was just, well, she was magnificent. You should have seen her. And then the awards ceremony, it just went on forever, and the traffic getting out of downtown was a nightmare. Dad nods solemnly. She won, Maya, first place in her category. We're so proud. He beams at Sophia, who preens. The lie begins. It slips out so easily, so smoothly, it almost scares me. Wow, that's amazing, Sophia. Congratulations. I offer a weak smile. And Mom, Dad, it's okay. I understand. I'm just glad you're here now. They visibly relax. Mom pats my hand. We knew you'd understand, sweetie. You're always so mature. Am I? Or have I just learned that my needs are an inconvenience? The next few days in the hospital pass in a blur of recovery and quiet observation. I document everything. The times they visit, short, often interrupted by calls to arrange Sophia's victory party. The topics of conversation, Sophia's win, Sophia's upcoming classes, Sophia's potential. I take photos of the flowers Sophia received, a huge bouquet from the dance school, next to the single, wilting carnation someone from the hospital auxiliary brought me. Spring dance season is approaching. It's Sophia's big push for the regional championships. The house is already buzzing with it. New costumes are being designed, private lessons scheduled, diets discussed. I fade into the background, a pale ghost haunting the edges of their vibrant, Sophia-centric world. And I watch. And I plan. A few weeks after I'm home, still a little tender but recovering well, I'm scrolling through a newsletter from my art teacher. An announcement catches my eye. Prestigious summer arts program for young artists, national submissions now open. Grand showcase and scholarship opportunity. The deadline is soon. The program runs for 6 weeks, culminating in a final showcase. I click the link. The dates for the final showcase, the biggest night of the program, the night where industry professionals and scholarship scouts attend, is the exact same night as Sophia's regional dance competition. The one they've been planning for, talking about, obsessing over for months. A slow smile spreads across my face, an incredible opportunity coinciding with Sophia's most important recital ever. The universe, it seems, has a wicked sense of humor, and I, Maya, the reborn, the overlooked, am suddenly very, very interested in developing my artistic talents. 3 months fly by in a whirlwind of clandestine activity. My appendectomy scar is now a faint silvery line, a reminder of the day everything shifted. I threw myself into preparing my portfolio for the summer arts program. Late nights were spent sketching, painting, sculpting small figures out of clay, all while my parents were busy ferrying Sophia to extra dance classes or helping her research choreography. They barely noticed my new obsession, dismissing it as Maya's quiet little hobby. My audition for the program was at an old grand theater downtown. The air inside was thick with the musty smell of old velvet curtains, mingled with the sharper scent of turpentine and the faint metallic tang of ambition from the other hopefuls. I remember my hands shaking as I presented my work to the panel of judges, renowned artists, gallery owners, people whose names I'd only read in art magazines. But the tremor wasn't just nerves, it was a thrum of excitement, of possibility. A week later, the acceptance letter arrived. A thick, creamy envelope with an embossed logo. I was in. The relief and joy were so intense, they almost buckled my knees. I'd done it. On my own. And then the delicious irony I'd been anticipating settled in, sweet and sharp. The program's final showcase, the culmination of 6 weeks of intensive workshops and creative endeavors, the night scholarships would be announced, was indeed scheduled for the exact same evening as Sophia's regional dance competition. The competition Mom had already called the most important night of Sophia's life so far. My heart didn't pound with malice, but with a peculiar, thrilling sense of alignment. I savor the delicious timing, a secret little smile playing on my lips whenever I think about it. My quiet power move began subtly. I started manipulating family schedules, not in a malicious way, but just nudging things. Oh, Mom, could we possibly have dinner a bit earlier on Tuesdays? I was hoping to use the good light in the sunroom for my sketching. Or, Dad, I know you usually help Sophia with her dance history homework on Thursdays, but I have this really tricky art theory assignment. Could you maybe spare an hour for me instead this week? Small requests, easily granted, but they started to gently carve out a little space for my pursuits, making my involvement in the arts program seem like a natural, albeit minor, part of family life. They agreed, often with a sigh about how demanding Sophia's schedule was, but they agreed. It was at the program orientation that I met Alex. He was in the photography stream, tall and lanky, with kind eyes that seemed to see more than most people. He had a quiet confidence and a dry wit that instantly appealed to me. We gravitated towards each other, two serious artists amidst a sea of sometimes overly dramatic creative types. He quickly became my ally, my confidant within the program. I didn't tell him everything about my family, not then, but he sensed that art was more than just a hobby for me, it was a lifeline. "You've got a fire in your work, Maya," he said one afternoon, looking at a particularly intense charcoal portrait I'd done. "There's a story there." I just smiled. Maybe. Meanwhile, at home, the pattern of prioritizing Sophia continued, relentless and unwavering. Conversations revolved around her. "Sophia, did you stretch properly today?" "Sophia, what did Madame Dubois say about your arabesque?" "Sophia, we need to order more point shoes." My art program was mentioned in passing, usually as, "And Maya's doing her little art thing? Isn't that nice?" Nice. Not important, not life-changing. Not like Sophia's regionals. The build-up to both events gained momentum. Sophia's competition was the talk of the dance world, apparently. Scouts from prestigious ballet companies would be there. A win could open so many doors for her. My showcase, while not on their radar, was equally significant for me. The program director had hinted that several scholarships were available, including a full ride to a renowned arts college on the West Coast. This wasn't just a showcase, it was a potential launching pad for my entire future. A future they knew nothing about. The 6 weeks of the arts program were intense, exhilarating. I was surrounded by people who understood the drive to create, who spoke the same language of color, texture, and form. I learned new techniques, pushed my boundaries, and for the first time, felt truly seen for my talent. Alex was a constant source of support, always there with an encouraging word or a critical eye when I needed it. With each passing day, the ticking clock in my head grew louder. 6 weeks until the showcase. 6 weeks until Sophia's regionals. The collision course was set. One evening, Mom was meticulously sewing sequins onto Sophia's elaborate peacock costume. Dad was on the phone, trying to secure a block of front row tickets for the family. Aunts, uncles, cousins for the regionals. Sophia was practicing her pirouettes in the living room, her brow furrowed in concentration. I sat at the kitchen table, sketching in my notepad a preliminary design for my final showcase piece. It was a mixed media installation, exploring themes of visibility and invisibility, of shadows and light. "You know, Maya," Mom said, not looking up from her intricate stitching, "it's really a shame your little art program doesn't have some sort of display. It would be nice for us to see what you've been up to." I felt a tightening in my chest. This was it, the perfect opening. The chance to tell them about the showcase, to gauge their reaction, to maybe, just maybe, see a flicker of interest. My mouth opened, the words forming on my tongue. "Actually, Mom, there is a showcase, a really big one, the same night as..." But then I saw Dad hang up the phone, a triumphant grin on his face. "Got them! 10 prime seats for Sophia's big night. This is going to be epic." Sophia beamed. Mom clapped her hands, the needle and thread momentarily forgotten. "Oh, wonderful, darling. We have to make sure everyone sees our star shine." The words died in my throat, my showcase, my potential scholarship, my future. It was nothing against the spectacle of Sophia's big night. I looked down at my sketch, at the shadowy figures and the bursts of light. I had a choice to make. Do I tell them, knowing they'll likely dismiss it, or worse, make me feel guilty for it clashing with Sophia's event? Or do I keep my secret, protect my own ambitions, and let the chips fall where they may? The answer, when it came, was surprisingly clear. My hand tightened around my pencil. I had to choose, and for the first time, I was choosing me. I choose to stay silent. The words about my showcase, the ones that had been perched on the tip of my tongue, retreat, tucking themselves back into the secret compartment of my heart. It's not about defiance, not really. It's about self-preservation. I can't bear to see their faces contort with polite disinterest, or worse, that familiar look of mild annoyance that my little art thing might dare to inconvenience their grand plans for Sophia. The house becomes a symphony of Sophia's preparations. The sound of her practicing piano, the chosen accompaniment for her solo, fills every room. It's a beautiful, melancholic Chopin piece, and ironically, I find myself sketching to its rhythm, the rise and fall of the notes mirroring the emotions churning within me. There are moments, listening to the purity of the music, where I panic momentarily. A wave of guilt washes over me. Am I being fair? Am I being cruel? Then I remember the operating room, the antiseptic smell, the echo of their departing voices, and my resolve steadies. This isn't cruelty. It's a course correction. Once, during a rare quiet moment, Sophia found me staring blankly at a canvas. "You okay, Maya?" she asked, her brow furrowed with genuine, if fleeting, concern. "She's not a bad kid, Sophia. She's just oblivious, pampered into a state of serene self-absorption." For a split second, I almost tell her, "Soph, there's something I need to..." But then Mom calls her from the other room. "Sophia, darling, come try on your headpiece." And just like that, the moment is gone. Sophia flits away, a whirlwind of tulle and excitement, and I'm left alone with my secret once more. My quiet power move now involves meticulous planning. I can't rely on my parents to get me to my showcase. So, I create a backup plan. Alex, bless his understanding heart, offers to drive me. His parents are out of town that weekend, and he's got his dad's car. "Consider it my artistic duty to ensure a fellow genius gets to her moment of triumph," he says with a grin that makes my stomach do a little flip. His offer isn't just practical, it's a balm to my bruised soul. Someone sees me. Someone prioritizes my moment. Our connection deepens, forged in shared artistic dreams and unspoken understandings. The family scenes leading up to the big night are almost a caricature of their usual behavior. Mom obsesses over every detail of Sophia's peacock costume, convinced a single loose sequin could spell disaster. Dad endlessly rewatches videos of Sophia's competitors, analyzing their weaknesses. They discuss her choreography in hushed, serious tones, as if dissecting a complex military strategy. My art program, my upcoming showcase, is a distant, fuzzy blip on their radar if it's there at all. The irony deepens when a small article about the summer arts program appears in the local section of the newspaper. It mentions the upcoming showcase and lists some of the promising young artists, including me. I leave it casually on the coffee table. For 3 days, it sits there, untouched, eventually buried under a pile of Sophia's dance magazines and discarded costume sketches. They never see it. The local media is paying attention, but my own family doesn't notice. 2 weeks before both events, the tension in the house is palpable. Sophia is a bundle of nerves and excitement. My parents are stressed, but radiating a proud, anticipatory glow. I move through it all like a silent observer, calm on the surface, a whirlwind of plans and emotions underneath. One evening, Sophia approaches me, her face pale, her eyes wide with a request that sends a jolt of alarm through me. "Maya," she says, her voice small. Could you do something for me? It's for good luck." I eye her warily. "What is it, Soph?" "Could you film my practice sessions this week?" "Like all of them. And maybe give me some notes. You're always so good at seeing things." My breath catches. This is a complication I hadn't anticipated. Being that intimately involved in her final preparations would make my own deception, my own secret plans for that same night, so much harder to manage. It feels like a test of my resolve, a test of my ability to navigate this complex web I'm weaving. Sophia's request hangs in the air. Film her practice sessions, give her notes, be her artistic confidant in the final, crucial week. The irony is a bitter pill, me, the shadow sibling, suddenly elevated to the role of trusted advisor for the star's big moment. "Please, Maya." Sophia's lower lip trembles slightly. Madame Dubois is being so critical, and Mom and Dad just say everything's perfect. I need real feedback, and you always see things differently. The squeak of her new point shoes on the hardwood floor of our makeshift dance studio, aka the cleared-out dining room, seems to echo the frantic beat of my own heart. I tremble with the weight of my secret, the duplicity of it all. If I say yes, I'm drawn deeper into her world, making my own escape that night even more precarious. If I say no, it will seem cold, unsupportive, and might raise suspicions I can't afford. Looking at her then, stripped of the parental adoration and the competitive drive, I see something I haven't allowed myself to acknowledge for a long time. Sophia is genuinely nervous. And beneath the layers of princess-like entitlement, she's talented. Her movements, when she's not overthinking, have a raw grace. A wave of moral complexity washes over me. Is my plan too harsh? Is it fair to let her stumble, even a little, because of my own carefully constructed silence? This isn't about wanting her to fail. I realize that with a startling clarity. This is about wanting me to succeed, to finally have my moment, unburdened by their expectations or lack thereof. My quiet power move here is to find the balance. "Okay, Soph," I say, my voice calmer than I feel. "I'll help you. I'll film your sessions." I set my boundaries carefully. I can do it after my art program classes each day, and I can give you some notes, but remember, I'm not a dance expert. Relief floods her face. "Oh, thank you, Maya. You're the best." She throws her arms around me in a rare, spontaneous hug. It feels strange. Not entirely unwelcome, but definitely strange. So the week unfolds in a bizarre dichotomy. Afternoons are spent at the arts program, immersed in my own creative whirlwind, finalizing my installation piece, a series of sculpted figures half hidden in shadow, half emerging into light, each with a single, starkly illuminated eye. Alex is my rock, offering critiques on the lighting, helping me rig the delicate suspension wires, and generally keeping my sanity intact. "It's powerful, Maya," he'd said, stepping back to look at the near-finished piece. "It's like they're watching, but also trapped." I just nodded. He understood more than he knew. Evenings are spent in the dining room, iPhone in hand, recording Sophia's every leap and turn. I give her honest feedback, focusing on the emotional expression, the storytelling in her movements, things I understand from my own art. Surprisingly, she listens. She adapts. She improves. A new complication arises midweek. Our grandmother, who lives across the country and is our family's matriarch and biggest dance aficionado, announces she wants to video call during Sophia's competition. I can't be there in person, darlings. Her voice crackled over speakerphone, but I want to see my little peacock shine. And Maya, you can give me the play-by-play of the audience reaction. My blood runs cold. My showcase. How can I manage a video call with Grandma while I'm supposed to be on stage, having my own moment? Alex, when I tell him later, helps me work through the guilt and the logistics. Easy, he says. Spotty Wi-Fi at the venue. Tell her you'll send her a full recording later. Focus on your night, Maya. You've earned it. His unwavering support is the anchor I desperately need. The family interactions become almost unbearable in their obliviousness. One night at dinner, Dad raises a toast. To my girls, he says, beaming. Sophia, about to conquer the regionals, and Maya, well, Maya's doing wonderfully at her art thing. We're so proud of both of you. The emphasis, the shine in his eyes, is all for Sophia. I just smile and nod. The familiar ache a dull throb. They are proud. Proud of the daughter they see, the one who fits their narrative. The ticking clock speeds up. 1 week, then just days. The house is a hive of frantic energy. Costumes are finalized, travel plans to the regional venue, an hour away, are triple-checked. My own preparations for the showcase are a silent, parallel operation. My installation is complete, carefully packed. My outfit, a simple black dress that lets the art speak for itself, is chosen. The night before the dueling events, I'm pretending to read in my room when I overhear Mom and Dad in the hallway. Their voices are hushed, conspiratorial. What if she stumbles? Mom whispers, her voice tight with anxiety. What if she doesn't place? She will, Carol, she will, Dad says, trying to reassure her. But, just in case, we have the backup plan, right? The summer intensive in New York? If regionals don't go well, we'll just tell everyone this was always the plan, to focus on the intensive instead. No one needs to know it was a disappointment, a backup plan for Sophia's potential failure, to manage perceptions, to ensure she always looks like a winner, even if she isn't. I close my eyes. Was there ever a backup plan for me? For my debate meets, my art shows? Or was my quiet, consistent effort just expected, unremarkable, not worthy of contingency planning? The answer is as clear as the silence that follows their hushed conversation. Tomorrow night, everything changes. The day arrives, bright and buzzing with a nervous energy that permeates our entire house. It's Saturday, showcase night, competition night, D-Day. The morning is a whirlwind of Sophia-centric activity. Mom fusses over Sophia's hair, creating an intricate braided bun. Dad makes a special high-protein breakfast for peak performance. Sophia herself is a vibrating mix of excitement and near-paralyzing stage fright. I quietly get ready in my own room, the scent of stage makeup, a subtle foundation, a touch of mascara I'll apply later, a familiar comfort from my few school play experiences. It mingles with the almost imperceptible tang of nervous sweat that's already starting to prickle my skin. As I lay out my simple black dress, I feel a profound sense of liberation. Today, I'm not seeking their approval. I'm not angling for a sliver of their attention. Today is for me, my art, my future. Around noon, the exodus begins. Sophia, looking like a fragile, exotic bird in her warm-up gear, is carefully bundled into the car. Mom and Dad, armed with snack bags, emergency sewing kits, and enough nervous energy to power a small city, follow. You sure you don't want to come, Maya? Mom asks, pausing at the door, a hint of surprise in her voice. I'd made my excuses earlier, a final group project for the arts program that absolutely had to be finished today. I can't, Mom, but break a leg, Soph. I know you'll be amazing. I offer a genuine smile. I do hope she does well. Her success doesn't diminish mine. Not anymore. They leave. The house falls into a sudden, blessed silence. My quiet power move is simple, yet significant. I write a short note. Hope the competition goes brilliantly. Have an errand to run. We'll be back later tonight. Love, Maya. Vague, uninformative. I leave it on the kitchen counter where they'll see it if they happen to come back before me, which I doubt. No explanation of where I'm going. No hint of my own monumental evening. Alex arrives at precisely 5 p.m. as planned. My installation, carefully boxed, is loaded into his car. My heart is hammering, a mix of nerves and exhilaration. The theater for the showcase is already buzzing. Artists are setting up, lights are being adjusted, the air is thick with anticipation. Finding my allotted space, Alex helps me meticulously unpack and assemble my installation. The sculpted figures, half in shadow, half in light, their single illuminated eyes staring out, seem to take on a life of their own in the gallery space. It looks right. It feels right. Backstage, as the minutes tick down to the showcase opening, I catch my reflection. The girl looking back at me is someone new. There's a quiet confidence in her eyes, a subtle strength in her stance. This is Maya, the artist. My performance, if you can call it that, standing by my piece, answering questions from interested viewers, from critics, from the scholarship judges, is transformative. I speak about my art, my themes of visibility and the unseen, with a passion and clarity that surprises even myself. People listen, they engage, they see me, they see my work. The evening becomes a surreal blur. At one point, I'm deep in conversation with a renowned gallery owner who's expressing interest in my installation. In the background, I imagine the scene at Sophia's competition, the hushed audience, the dramatic music. Sophia taking center stage in her peacock costume. Are they winning? Is she dazzling them? For a moment, I wonder. But then the gallery owner asks another insightful question, and I'm pulled back into my own triumphant reality. My triumph. Later, the program director, a kind woman with eyes that miss nothing, approaches me, a warm smile on her face. Maya, she says, her voice filled with genuine enthusiasm. The scholarship committee was incredibly impressed, not just with your final piece, but with your entire body of work this summer, your insights, your dedication. She pauses, letting the anticipation build. They've decided to offer you the full West Coast Arts College scholarship. Full scholarship. The words echo in my head, stunning me into silence. Everything I'd dared to hope for, everything I'd worked for in secret, it's mine. I manage a choked, thank you. Tears well in my eyes, but these are different tears. Not tears of neglect, but of overwhelming, joyous disbelief. Success. I've won everything I wanted, and yet as I stand there, amidst the congratulatory buzz, a tiny shard of emptiness pierces through the elation. They're not here to see this. They don't even know. The familiar ache is there, but it's different now. It's not a raw wound, but a dull, phantom pain, a reminder of a limb that's been severed. Alex finds me, his eyes shining. You did it, Maya. I knew you would. He pulls me into a hug, and for a moment, I let myself lean into his strength, his uncomplicated belief in me. The showcase winds down. We carefully disassemble my installation, the figures now imbued with a new significance. Alex drives me home, the city lights blurring past the car window. I feel exhausted, elated, and strangely calm. I slip back into the quiet, dark house. It's late, nearly 1 a.m. They're not back yet. Good. I quickly hide my award certificate, the program brochures, any evidence of my spectacular night. I change into pajamas, wash the faint traces of makeup from my face, and climb into bed, my mind replaying every extraordinary moment. Just as I'm drifting off, I hear the sound of their car in the driveway, followed by voices, loud and excited. They're back. And from the triumphant tone, I can only assume Sophia's competition was a success. The cliffhanger of my own life, however, has just reached a new, thrilling chapter. The front door bursts open, and the sound of celebration floods the quiet house. Champagne corks, or maybe sparkling cider, given Sophia's age, pop, accompanied by squeals of delight and booming congratulations. Sophia, it's immediately clear, won her competition. My parents are ecstatic, their voices giddy with pride. I stay in my room, feigning sleep, listening. The contrast between their boisterous joy for Sophia and the silent, solitary triumph I experienced just hours before is stark. It doesn't sting as much as it used to. It's more like an anthropological observation now. The next morning, the house is still buzzing. Sophia is parading her oversized trophy, recounting every detail of her performance to anyone who will listen, which is everyone. My parents are on the phone, sharing the glorious news with relatives. It's at breakfast that the questions begin, subtly at first. "You were out late last night, Maya," Mom says, her eyes narrowed slightly as she butters her toast. "Your errand took a while." I feel a familiar prickle of panic, but the new Maya, the one who faced down scholarship judges, meets her gaze evenly. "It did," I say, taking a calm sip of orange juice. A few unexpected delays. My quiet power move: deflect, don't elaborate, I've rehearsed this. Be vague, be calm. "Everything okay?" Dad asks, a little more direct. "Perfectly fine," I reply, offering a small, enigmatic smile. They let it go, for now, swept up again in the whirlwind of Sophia's victory. But I can feel their curiosity, a small, persistent hum beneath the surface of their elation. My longer-than-expected absence, my uncharacteristic lack of interest in the details of Sophia's win. It's all a deviation from my usual pattern of quiet acquiescence. 3 days later, the official scholarship letter arrives in the mail, another thick, creamy envelope addressed to me. I retrieve it before anyone else sees it, my heart doing a little jig. I read it in the privacy of my room, the official confirmation of my future. I decide to leave it on the kitchen counter that afternoon, tucked slightly under a bowl of fruit. Not hidden, but not flaunted either. Let them discover it in their own time. It's Mom who finds it. I hear her sharp intake of breath from the living room. "David, come look at this." Dad hurries in. Silence. Then a confused murmur. "West Coast Arts College? Full scholarship? Maya?" They appear in the doorway of my room, the letter clutched in Mom's hand. Their faces a mixture of shock and utter bewilderment. "Maya." Dad begins, his voice tight. "What is this? When did this happen?" "It's a scholarship, Dad," I say simply, looking up from my book. "To art college." "But how?" Mom sputters. Your little art program? This kind of thing doesn't just happen." The interrogation begins. They demand to know about the showcase. Why didn't I tell them? How could I have kept something so significant a secret? This is the moment, the partial revelation. "There was a showcase," I explained calmly. "The final night of the program. It's where they announced the scholarship." I deliberately omit the fact that it was the same night as Sophia's competition. Let them figure that out, or not. Guilt flickers across their faces, quickly followed by a wave of anger. "You should have told us, Maya," Mom exclaims, her voice rising. "We would have been there. How could you not share this with your own family?" Would you have been, I think, remembering the 10 prime seats for Sophia? Would you really have chosen my little art thing over her most important night? But I don't say it. That's part of the deal I made in the white space. No direct accusations about that night, about the surgery. It all happened very fast, I say, my voice carefully neutral. And I didn't want to add any more stress to the household with Sophia's competition. A perfect, plausible excuse, one that even paints me as considerate. They don't know what to say. They are caught between feeling guilty for their obliviousness and angry at my secrecy. Sophia, who has drifted in, attracted by the raised voices, looks from me to them, a dawning understanding in her eyes. This is new territory for all of us. The tension hangs heavy for days. But the scholarship is real. The acceptance is in my name. A path has opened for me, one that leads far away from being the perpetual understudy in my own family. The unspoken question hangs in the air, a giant looming cliffhanger. Will I accept it? Will I actually leave? They watch me, waiting for my decision, perhaps hoping I'll choose to stay, to revert to the familiar, comfortable Maya. But they don't know the new Maya at all. The confrontation, when it finally comes to a head, happens over a tense breakfast a few days later. The smell of coffee, usually a comforting aroma, seems to have gone cold and bitter in the air, mirroring the mood. Sophia has already escaped to her room, sensing the impending storm. We need to talk about this, Maya, Dad says, his voice heavy. Seriously, why did you keep that showcase a secret from us? A scholarship to a place like West Coast Arts? That's incredible. Why wouldn't you want your family to share that with you? I take a slow sip of my own coffee, gathering my thoughts. I've prepared for this, rehearsed it in my mind countless times. My carefully crafted response, the one that tells a truth, but not the whole damning truth. Because, I begin, my voice quiet but firm. I needed to do it for myself. By myself. I look from Mom's strained face to Dad's stern one. For years, everything has revolved around Sophia's competitions, her recitals, her needs. And I understand she's talented and she requires a lot of support. Mom opens her mouth to protest, but I raise a hand slightly and surprisingly, she subsides. Whenever I've had something important to me, I continue, it's always been secondary. It's always been. Oh, that's nice, Maya, but Sophia has. Do you remember my debate regionals, my first art show, even my surgery? I let that last one hang in the air for just a beat, a tiny, almost imperceptible jab. I see a flicker in their eyes. Do they remember? Do they even connect it to anything? I needed to know if I could achieve something big on my own, I say, without it being compared, or overshadowed, or dismissed. So, I kept it to myself. It wasn't to hurt you. It was to protect myself, and to prove something to myself. This is the incomplete truth. I tell them about feeling overlooked, about the pattern of their favoritism. I don't tell them about the white room, the voice, the cosmic bargain. I don't tell them about lying on that operating table, listening to them choose her recital over my life. That secret remains mine. Mom's eyes are glistening. Dad looks down at his hands, his jaw tight. They tremble, not with anger this time, but with the dawning, uncomfortable realization of their own pattern. The one I've just laid out, calmly, without tears or accusations. Just facts. We never meant to make you feel that way, Maya, Mom whispers, her voice thick with emotion. We love both of you so much. I know you love me, Mom, I say, and I believe she does in her own way. But love and attention, love and priority, haven't always been the same thing in this house. Sophia appears in the doorway, her eyes wide. She's heard more than I realized. She looks at me, then at our parents, and for the first time, I see a flicker of genuine guilt in her expression. She's beginning to understand the cost of all the relentless attention she's received, the invisible sacrifices made by her older sister. My quiet power move is in maintaining control of this narrative. I'm not the hysterical, overlooked child throwing a tantrum. I'm a young woman calmly stating her reality, explaining her choices. It's disarming for them. They expected tears, anger, something they could dismiss as teenage drama. They get reasoned articulation instead. The family reckoning begins. It's quiet, awkward. There are no grand apologies, not yet. But there's a shift. They're starting to see their favoritism, not as a figment of my imagination, but as a tangible thing that has shaped our family dynamics, that has shaped me. A few days later, I formally accept the scholarship. I print out the acceptance letter and the student housing information and leave it on the hall table. No fanfare, just a statement of fact. I am going. The house is subdued. The planning for my departure begins, stilted and unsure. They're trying, in their own clumsy way, to adjust. One evening, Alex calls. Hey, he says, his voice warm and familiar. I'm glad you're going. You deserve it. Then he hesitates. Maya, there's something else. Something I think you should know, something I saw. My heart gives a lurch. What is it, Alex? What did you see? I was at the hospital that night, Alex says, his voice dropping a little, serious now. The night of your surgery. I'm sitting in the small garden behind our house, the scent of fresh rain from an earlier shower hanging in the air. The world seems to tilt on its axis. You were there? Why? My grandmother, he explains. She had a fall. We were in the emergency room for hours. It was chaotic. When I was heading out much later, I passed the surgical waiting area. I saw your parents. My breath catches. You saw them? Yeah, and I heard them. They were on the phone, talking to someone. Your aunt, maybe. They were talking about Sophia's recital, how it was starting soon, how they couldn't miss it. They said something like, Maya's appendix is routine, she'll be fine. We'll come back after. Then they left. The witness, someone else knows. Someone else heard the casual dismissal of my life, the blatant prioritization. The secret I've carried, the one I thought was mine alone, has an echo. A wave of emotion washes over me, so complex it's hard to name. Relief, certainly. Validation. But also a strange sort of lightness. I'm liberated from carrying the secret entirely alone. Alex, I whisper, thank you for telling me. I wasn't sure if I should, he admits. It's not my place, but after getting to know you and seeing how much that showcase meant, and knowing about the scholarship, I just felt you deserved to know that someone else was aware, that you weren't imagining their focus. A beat of silence hangs between us, filled with unspoken understanding. Then he asks, do you want me to tell them, Maya, that I saw them? That I heard what they said? The choice. It's offered to me again, in a different way. Let Alex be the one to confront them, to lay bare their callousness that night. The thought is tempting, to see their faces when an outsider confirms their worst moment. But then I think of the white room, the voice. Their lessons must be their own. My path is not to change them through accusation. My final power move, the one that truly sets me free, is choosing to let them live with their own guilt, their own dawning awareness, rather than my direct specific anger about the surgery. Let them grapple with the general pattern I've already shown them. The specific knife twist of that night? I'll keep that one. It's a scar I can bear, and perhaps it's more powerful if they never know its precise origin. No, Alex, I say, a newfound strength in my voice. Don't tell them. Let it be. They're starting to figure things out in their own way. This would just be about my anger, and I think I'm ready to let that go, or at least transform it. The weeks leading up to my departure for college are awkward, but there are real attempts at better communication. Mom asks me about my art, really listens to my answers. Dad offers to help me pack, fumbling with boxes, but his intention clear. It's Sophia who surprises me most. One afternoon, she comes into my room, looking uncharacteristically serious. Maya, she says, when you have your first big art graduation, or whatever it is you art people do, I want Mom and Dad to go, and I'm going to make sure they do. I look at her, this sister who has lived so long in the spotlight, and I see growth. Thanks, Soph, I say, and I mean it. The scholarship program is everything I dreamed of. I thrive in the new environment, surrounded by creative energy, challenged by my professors, supported by new friends, especially Alex, who chose a college nearby. We explore the city together, share our artistic triumphs and frustrations. I feel whole. A year later, I fly home for a short visit. It coincides with Sophia's spring recital. This time, when Mom asks if I'm coming, it's a genuine question, not an afterthought. I wouldn't miss it, I say. And I mean it. I go, not out of obligation, but by choice. I sit in the audience and I watch Sophia dance. She's good. Really good. And for the first time, I can appreciate her talent without the bitter taste of resentment. The secret of the surgery night remains preserved. I never tell them what Alex saw, what I knew when I woke up in that ICU. They're trying, fumbling towards a new dynamic, learning to see both their daughters. Their guilt is their own to manage. My life is mine to live. The final image of my old life before I truly step into my new one is me performing, not on a stage, but in a gallery at my college, a solo exhibition of my work. My installation figures are there, more confident now, stepping further into the light. And in the small crowd, I see them. Mom, Dad, Sophia, they're watching me. And this time I know they finally truly see me, Maya, the artist, the one who rewrote her own story.